What's up, people? Orseofkorse here, coming at you with another Paragon deck build. Today, we're going to be looking at she used to be one of my favorite characters. Now I don't really play her as often, but we're going to look at Lieutenant Belica. In this new meta, she does pretty good because mana got a big boost, and her ultimate does bonus damage based on how much mana the enemy is missing. So Belica's a pretty good caster to have in the game. Let's go ahead and go over her deck build, and I'll try to get some gameplay in with her in the future, but let's go ahead and jump into this. So for Belica, I started with the Archmagus. So when you get the Prime buff, you'll get a 60 power, 100% damage bonus. She's a caster, you want her to hit hard. I can see you arguing for the Centurion if you're trying to play her a little tanky, but in this meta, I wouldn't recommend it. I go with the damage. Consumables, very simple. I go Health Potion, Mana Potion, Scout's Ward. I still have 3 points that I can spend, so I might throw like a cast token in there at some point, maybe Chrono Tonic. But for right now, I'm just going with this basic build for the consumables. Equipment, I'm going to go over my throwaway cards first. I have 1, 2, 3 in this deck. Now, these right here are optional. I mean, for how you want to build them. I usually go with the Ring of Domini first. I like this card because it gives you the 50 health, 30 mana, but what I like even more is the unique passive. It's a plus 10% damage bonus to minions. Now, I like this card because early on, you don't really need mana like that, especially if you can control the river buff. What I like to do is keep the minions pushed up towards my enemy's lane. And now a lot of people used to say, especially back in Legacy, don't freeze up the lane. But in mid lane, since I have a caster and I can kind of poke out from a distance, I like to keep whoever it is pushed up so that I can farm from a distance, you know, from my little ledge. And I'll show you when I do a gameplay what I'm talking about. And this gives me more time to get the river buff, because if they leave, the chances of them getting their tower hit is much higher. So I like to go with the Ring of Domini for that point, just to keep those minions pushed up, just so I can have more chances to outplay the enemy mid laner. The second card I usually go with is the Amp Crystal, and I equip this with a minor cast and 2 basic manas. It gives you 6 power, 30 mana, then 60 mana once you fully upgrade it. I like this card just in case you're not getting the river buff. Let's say your enemy mid laner's outplaying you. This card will make sure that you do have a little bit of mana up there, and I go with a little bit of damage, you know, just so I can poke out a little bit more. And this last throwaway card is this Celestine Diamond. Gives you 6 power, 0.3 mana regen, 30 mana, and then 60 mana once you fully upgrade it. I like this card because it gives you that little bit of mana regen, but it also gives you the mana. And I equipped it with all mana as well. So I'll just go with this card. You could go with another Amp Crystal. You could go with something with more damage. I just like to build mana early on, just in case I need it. It allows me to stay out there a little bit longer, in case I'm not getting river buffs. But you know, if you don't need it, by all means, leave it out. Now, as we get into the deck proper, we're going to go over the order in which I build things, and I'm going to try to explain why. So the first card I usually build once I start building the deck proper is the Amp Crystal. This card gives you 6 power, 30 mana, and then 60 mana. I equipped it with an advanced mana, which is 90 mana, and then 2 regular manas, which is 60 apiece. I like the Amp Crystal because it gives you a nice boost to mana, and what I want to do later game is equip the Hydroverser. And let's go ahead and look at this card secondly. This card is 0.3 mana regen, 50 health, and the unique passive is you gain power equal to 7% of your current mana. So what I like to do is stack up a bit of mana, and then I equip this Hydroverser, and it gives me damage right there. So I like keeping this card in my deck and building a bit of mana. Now, even though I looked at the Hydroverser second, I don't build this, and I wouldn't recommend building it until you have the mana to justify having it. So the next card that I will usually build is this Crystal Conduit. This card gives you 2 ability pin, 30 mana and 60 mana once you upgrade it. And I equip this with pure manas, which are 90 mana apiece, and a focus shock. Now in this build, I do build penetration. And you can argue that you can just go pure mana. Either way, I think it's fine. I've done that. But I like having the pure shock. I go about 30 or 28 pin, just so you cut through most of the damage. It makes the hits that you do get with abilities more meaningful. So I go with that. The Magnet Lens, you can build this whenever you want. I might build it later game. I might build it earlier, depending. But the reason I like this card, it gives you 2 ability pin, 0.3 mana regen, and then 12 power once you fully upgrade it. And I equipped it with 3 ability pins right there. I like this card because it helps you build the penetration, but it also gives you a little mana regen. I like the mana regen because it pairs well with this Hydroverser. If you're getting mana back, obviously you're going to be hitting harder because you gain power equal to your current mana. So you want to make sure that you have a little regen in the deck so that you're keeping your mana, you know, somewhere above 50% most of the time. That's where you're going to get, you know, a pretty good benefit. So I went over my cards that give mana. I went over the penetration. Now, the ward, you can build this whenever you want. If you see your team is getting ganked, build it early on so that you can help them out. This ward, I went with the Sage ward, 6 power, 50 health, and 6 power once you fully upgrade it. And I went pure cast with this. You could build one with mana if you want to help your Hydroverser out. I think it comes out about even-ish. But the most important thing is for the vision, right? You want to have vision. And now the Shockwave is usually the last card I build because it comes in handy very much late game. Back in the day, Legacy, this card used to be a beast because it used to knock people up. Now it's not as potent, but in this new meta where everything is so fast, this card is pretty good. So it gives you 0.6 mana regen, and here's the active. It slows nearby enemies by 250 max movement speed for 2 seconds. Now, some people might not think that's a big deal, but that is huge. If you can slow people, especially if you can pair that up with your teammates' ultimates, or even if not, even if you just keep people from running away, that makes a big difference in a team fight. So I go with the Shockwave, and I equipped it with 3 Chronos for that mana regen, because like I said, you want to be regenning a bit of mana so that Hydroverser is useful. So you want to build a little bit of mana. You don't have to go overboard because Belica has a good mana pool on her, all on her own. I build a little bit of mana though just to get the damage out. But make sure you have enough regen in there to make it so that you can stay out on the field without hitting like a chump basically. You want to get that damage back up. So people, that's what I have for my Lieutenant Belica. Like I say, she's a really good hero. I don't see her as often anymore because I feel like Gideon's dominating the mid right now. But I still think she's very viable. I think on a team, especially since they boost her drone, it is just shredding people's mana right now. So if you're not playing Belica, you might want to throw her, throw her a bone. I think she's still a very viable hero. In any case, I feel like I'm ranting now, so I'm going to stop. People, if you liked the video, make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and make sure to share the video out because it helps me out a lot. As always, people, I'll be back on with another deck build soon. And thanks for viewing this video. I appreciate it. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.